Hello everyone, and welcome back to our first time playthrough of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, specifically the PS4 version, for anybody who is curious. I don't know if we've actually stated that, although you'd probably notice if you just looked at what showed up in the subtitles. Anyways, I'm Shadow Streak, and...
I'm Taylor. Oh.
And our battery is low, so I'm going to grab the cable while you do some more introductions.
I'm nervous. Hi, how are you today? I'm Taylor, and I don't want to be here. I'd rather take a nap. Just kidding. So far, I would say that I am enjoying this game. Sheikah, get the fuck off the cable. Get the fuck off the cable.
Sheikah is bombing our playthrough again, but what else is new for anyone who actually watches our videos? All 15 of you.
True.
But that's okay. We don't,
Stop.
we're just happy that people care at all. And people seem to be
Oh
liking
my
this
God.
playthrough so far because it's actually attracting more attention than usual, which is pretty dope. Anyways, alright, I have Sheikah under control. We can get a move on with
Are you
the,
up here?
yeah, to the right. We have a new level to begin this part and the next couple of parts now that we've finished Downtown Bikini Bottom, and that level is none other than Hans stealing you away because you refused to push the button. No, it is Goo Lagoon, and for once Hans didn't incite a loading screen, which was amazing, and I wish it was always like that, but what are you gonna do?
Ain't gonna do shit!
But yeah, let's hear the introduction to Goo Lagoon.
Goo Lagoon, a sun-drenched beach of sludge at the bottom of the sea. But all is not well here on Paradise.
Oh, sparkly! Time for a little sleepy sneak. Fresh like a spring breeze. I feel like a new sponge.
SpongeBob, do I look burned?
Well, you do look a little red.
Barnacles! That darn
Robot?
Yeah, a big robot stole everybody's sunscreen.
Oh no! Everyone will burn, and then they'll get all itchy and peel.
Exactly! You can't spend a day at the beach without sunscreen. That sun is way too hot. That robot is out on the island. Nobody can get to him. SpongeBob, maybe you can use those sun reflectors to point the sun's rays on that robot. If you hit one of the buttons on the side of a lifeguard tower, the reflector will turn. Connect all the towers and the light will shoot right out of the big reflector on the island. Then all you have to do is swim out to the island and turn the big reflector onto the robot. I'll stay here and protect the babes.
Oh, get the fuck out.
But I, can't swim.
What?
SpongeBob can't swim.
Alright, so.
Alright, so the main objective, story, mini plot, whatever you want to call it, of this level is getting back all of the sunscreen so all of the fish and other sea creatures don't burn. You need to go to the other reflector first. The way this works is you're basically, as Larry said, trying to turn all of the reflectors a certain direction so that you can shine the light on the robot. And in order to do that, you have to uppercut the buttons on either side. It does matter which button you press because each button determines the direction that the sun's rays will be shined at or shown. I don't know what I think it's shined. I'm not sure. You cannot activate any button unless the sun's rays are being reflected into that specific tower. So you actually need to hit the one by Larry first in order to start doing this. It is important to know that some of the buttons will point it in a direction that does not allow you to progress. I will say that that was the correct answer, so you can definitely go out to that tower. Sometimes there is one tower here actually that will get pointed at that doesn't lead anywhere, no matter which button you press. So you need to be mindful of that. I'll probably point that out, or we'll see it if you end up doing it. But one of the towers is a completely, it's a red herring. Otherwise, the towers will probably point into a rock or into the water or what have you. So, so far so good though. You seem to be, well, I shouldn't have spoke too soon because there was an example of what I was talking about. So you press the wrong button, press the other button, it'll point the other direction, and then you'll be able to reflect the light to the correct position.
Dope.
Yeah. I will say that one of the disappointing changes in the remake compared to the original, and yes, that's in the original too. That was always fun.
Oh.
The those boxes that the robot is standing on, in the original game, there was this texture of Patrick parodying the you know the sunscreen advertisement with like the girl and the dog?
And the dog, and he's like pulling her.
Yeah, except there's no dog, but it's Patrick in the same pose as the girl, basically. Yeah, and it's Patrick. Well, I don't know if it's Patrick or if it's just another random starfish, but I always just like to think it was Patrick, because I'm pretty sure they're wearing the same pants. And that's not in the remake, it's just plain wooden crates. And I don't know, that kind of sucks because it doesn't change the game in any way.
So
But
I have to go all the way up here?
yeah, you want to go up there.
Okay.
It doesn't change the game or hinder it or anything, but it's just a nice little detail that I kind of wish was still there, that they just removed for some reason. But yeah, okay, so right there is actually a challenge you need Patrick for, because that's what the watermelon is representative of. Anytime there's fruit whatsoever, it's Patrick, nobody else.
Did
So.
the camera invert again?
It might have, if you want to go into settings and change it really quick.
Oh, maybe it didn't.
Well, it will go to the default setting every single time you change characters. So if you switch to Patrick, you're gonna be stuck with the default cameras, whether it's the one you're using right now or the other way.
And where is the thing for Patrick?
You're gonna have to find it. It's not too far from where you are, actually. In fact, you're facing it. So, yeah, if you want to go ahead and do that little platforming challenge. I do have a gripe with this particular sock that you're going to be going for, because this is for a sock. But I will point that out once we see it. I would like to acknowledge that at this point in our playthrough, I know we're only at Goo Lagoon. I have already played all the way up through the 7th level of the game, so I only have 2 more levels and the final boss to do, and then I beat the game. So I have a lot more experience now compared to when we were doing Jellyfish Fields. It's been several days since we recorded, but as you can basically see from this challenge, these towels will appear in the air. You need to jump across before you run out of time. If you run out of time, then you will have to do it all over again. You want to go to gameplay settings, not video settings. And then you're going to want to go horizontal, yeah, there you go. And then just back out.
It wasn't horizontal.
But you need to switch it and then switch it back. See? Now it's the other direction. Oh, then you want not inverted then. But another tip I can give you when using Patrick, and this is something that's in the remake that's not in the original game, when you do Patrick's belly attack or whatever, it sends you forwards a little bit on the ground and in the air, which allows you to get a little bit more horizontal distance when you're jumping with Patrick. You can't do that as SpongeBob. SpongeBob, you'll be able to hover in the air just a slight little bit, but yeah, and then go back. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then you don't actually have to worry about switching the camera controls because you'll have it that way, but yeah, so that's a nifty little thing about Patrick. So if you're ever making like a really long jump and you don't think you'll quite make it, press that belly thrust move, because that will get you a little bit of horizontal distance. You're gonna want to move pretty fast. In fact, this is a case where I would belly slam. No,
I did the other way around.
You did. You belly slammed instead of belly thrust. But that's okay. Alright, so we're back at the final section of this platforming sequence. Like I was saying, there is one thing that I really don't like about this this sock in particular. It has nothing to do with going about it, because you know, you do this exact same thing in the original games. The platforms work exactly the same. However, in the original game, there was an animation of those towels and stuff coming up from the ground. But as you clearly saw, they just pop in this remake.
Yeah.
I liked it better when they came up from the ground, because even though they aren't actually on the ground in line with where they're supposed to go, it gave you this illusion that they're picking up off the sand and floating there, which I thought was better than them just popping into existence with no little animation like that. But that's another case of like a minor detail making the level better that was removed from the original game in this remake for whatever reason it may be. And that in particular is weird. Like, I get the texture thing if they just didn't want to recreate it, or if they didn't, you know, or they were told not to even, because, I don't know, maybe that Patrick thing was vulgar. You don't need to go back up that way. You already got that.
Okay.
Okay. But you want to keep moving these light guard posts so you can get it to the island, so don't forget your main objective. But I get if they didn't want to, like, you know, recreate that or whatever.
Where am I supposed to press?
Follow the light path, like where you have it directed at. So like it's starting right there at the top right, and you want to follow like where's the light being pointed at.
Right here.
Yes, but that tower's already activated. See how it's going to another tower? You want to go to the tower that's, you know, not, so it'd be that one, because that one's not guiding it. No. Yeah, right, this one, sorry. But in the case of like the towels floating up, I don't know, that's like a really simple animation that I think could be done. Even if they just made them pop in on like lower down and then just moved them up really fast. Like, I don't think that was too much trouble, so. But so far so good. You are pretty much hitting all of these towers exactly how you're supposed to. You only missed that one, and again, you don't even know which buttons to press, so, you know, you're kind of getting really lucky here, I will say, because I'm pretty sure we've already missed the dummy light guard post, which is the one that we haven't used, which, you know, is to the right. Whichever, or no, none of the posts are dummies, but one like takes you to one that doesn't work. I don't remember, but I know that it's like you shine one at a light guard post, and then no matter which one you pick, it gives you the wrong way. Okay, that's besides the point. Let's see what Mrs. Puff has to say.
Oh no! The children's balloons have been overfilled! They're carrying the children out of control!
I don't know, Mrs. Puff. It looks like they're having a lot of fun.
Yes, too much fun if you ask me.
There's that guy in the background.
You can save the children by bubble bashing each of the balloons. Bubble bash all the balloons, then come see me for a reward.
Can do, Mrs. Puff.
Can do, Mrs. Puff. So, as you saw, I mean, you already saved the first person because they were right there. But there are 5 students around this area of Goo Lagoon that are being carried away by balloons, and you need to rescue them by bubble bashing, as you just did right there. That was the second of the 5 students. I feel like there was a thought I wanted to share before I got into this, but I guess I can just get into this. I'll probably remember later. So, one thing that's definitely different in the remake compared to the original game, I think this is a better thing in some ways and worse in a cynical sense. Whenever you bash the platform you're standing on, you have to bash to move up, and then it'll turn back to where it was. So you only have a certain amount of time for you to use it to your advantage. But you want to like jump across before it moves back. Like that. And then these platforms you're standing on will sink, so you want to keep jumping on them so that way they don't sink, and you cannot bubble bash in the air.
Fucking hate that kid. Go fuck yourself.
So yeah, you need to be mindful of these platforms because some of, like the ones in the last section, we're moving back and forth, that spins around and then resets its position, and these sink, so you want to keep jumping on them. And yeah, you can destroy the Duplicatotron so enemies stop spawning. Monsoons, as you just saw, were meant to be killed with the Bubble Bash. That is the best way to defeat them. I mean, you can hit them with your Bubble Wand if you do manage to position yourself right, but they're usually too high up off of where you can hit them. So yeah, you want to keep jumping on those, not off of those.
I get it.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, one thing that is different in the remake compared to the original is that in the remake, you actually might be able to, well, not anymore. Is that in the remake, whenever you hit these kids, they go flying back to where Mrs. Puff is. In the original game, they do not do that. They literally just drop wherever you hit them, and they just sit there. Forever. They never move, they never go anywhere, which is funny in a cynical sense. You don't want to stand on that because it sinks and then you can't hit the guy. But it's funny in a cynical sense because if you were to hit them over the water, in the original game the kids would just sit there in the water and, you know, kind of drown, I guess. It's implied they drown, but yeah. How'd you do that in midair?
I don't fucking know, but I really don't care.
Alright, well, you're not supposed to be able to do that, so I don't know how you managed to pull that off, but I guess that's another case of this game being a little buggy. I'm not sure. Yeah, if you go around this way, you can get that sock that's on top of the surf shack, or juice bar, sorry. And yeah, I guess we can continue onward and get the final two students, which, yeah, as you can see, there's 3 students right here, just gathered around Mrs. Puff. You have to go around the other way to get there. You can't go that direction. So yeah, another iconic thing about Goo Lagoon is I think that this song,
So I have to go this way?
yeah, I think that the background music for Goo Lagoon is some of the most iconic music in the entire game.
Oh my god, so iconic.
Well, yeah, it's definitely one of the most recognizable tracks. And it was used in a lot of the commercials and promotional material. You can switch to Patrick for advertising this game. Definitely one of the standout songs, but what you want to do is you want to pick up that stone tiki, throw it over, nope, to the right. You want to throw it near where that underwear is. A reticle should show up, maybe? Or not. Okay, they're not going to give you a reticle. But they want you to throw a stone tiki right in this corner so you can get up that ledge. Because you can't normally jump up it. So yeah, you use the stone tiki to get up there, and then you can do this little challenge right here. So this is another one of Patrick's challenges, although this one is for a golden spatula, but basically all you gotta do is throw that watermelon, and then these life preservers and flotation devices will pop up, and you can go ahead and jump across this platforming challenge and get the golden spatula. Obviously be aware of the fire-breathing floaty dragons.
You said 30 dragons.
I did. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yep.
Hate that.
So, if you want to know a little shortcut, ground pound the water. Whenever you ground pound the water, it's an instant death. No matter where you are. Unlike where, if you were to just jump in the water or you touch the water, it'll bounce you backwards. If you ever ground pound the water, instant death. So sometimes you can use that to save yourself time and not have to go through a platforming challenge. Like here, it just sent you back to the beginning so you didn't have to do all those platforms again.
Dope.
So, fun little tip for you to keep in mind whenever we
Am I
go.
able to jump with these?
No, you cannot jump while carrying anything. You can only move and throw at that point. You can't attack or anything else. But you only needed Patrick for that little challenge there, so you can switch back to SpongeBob.
Hoping I could deck a kid right in the face with a fucking stone tiki.
Nope. Unfortunately, the only character that can hit the kids out of the sky is SpongeBob because Patrick does not have a Bubble Bash move. And yes, you are seeing right now the camera controls resetting.
It didn't reset.
It did.
Did it?
Yes, it did. You
No,
just...
because I wanted it on horizontal for him.
But you have to go in the menu in order to get it to reset because before... No, but like you came in the menu. Now go back and if... Go back. Is the camera doing the same thing? Exactly. You have to switch it and then... You have to switch it and then switch it back. So this is actually an element of good game design that Battle for Bikini Bottom employs that you are... Why are you skipping that kid?
I didn't know if the fucking things would sink.
Alright, so you got the fourth kid. What I was saying is that that was an example of Battle for Bikini Bottom exemplifying incredible game design in the sense that earlier we saw the section where the platforms were moving and sinking in the sand, and then they upped the difficulty by being, okay, we taught you how the platforms work, now we're going to show you, or now we're going to give you a challenge, and they put those platforms in the water where you can't jump off of them at all. You know, it's a good tutorial without sitting and explaining it.
Oh,
You skip
shit.
Mrs. Puff's dialogue.
Because I was going to her press X. My bad. Hey, I got it.
Yay.
Yeah.